Hashem will return your captives, or he will return with your captives. Like Rashi explains, it says V'Shav, it doesn't say V'Heshiv, as we'll soon get to read the Medrash. And V'Rachamecha, he'll have compassion upon you, and mercy upon you, V'Shav, and he will return. V'Kibetzcha Mikol Ha'amim, he will collect you from all the nations. Asher Hafitzcha Hashem Elokecha Shama, that Hashem scattered you and spread you out over there. So first we're going to quote the Medrash known as the Sifri. Rab Nosson Omer, Rab Nosson says, Chavivin Yisrael, Yisrael are beloved. Shebechol Makim Shegolu, wherever they went into exile, Shechina Imahim. The Shechina is with them, regardless of where they are, how far and how low they may have gone into Galus, the Shechina is still with them. Gol Mitzrayim, they went into exile to Mitzrayim, Shechina Imahim. The Shechina was with them. How do we see that? So we bring a pasuk, Shenemar, like it says in the pasuk in Shmuel, Anigloi Nigleisi al Beis Avicha, V'Yosam B'Mitzrayim Beis Pari. Did I not become revealed to your father's house when they were in Mitzrayim, into the house of Pari, meaning under the control of Pari? So we see that Hashem was present with the Yidden when the Yidden were in Mitzrayim. Galul Bavel, the Yidden went into Bavel. We see also Shechina Imayim, the Shechina is with them, Rav Nosson says. Shenemar, like it says in the Navi Yeshaya, Lemanchem shulachti Bavela, that for your sake I was sent to Bavel. So the Eibishter says to the Yidden, I, Hashem, was sent to Bavel on your behalf because you are there, so I have joined you over there. Galu Elam, they went into exile to Elam. Elam is another name for Shushan or Persia in general. Shechina Imam, the Shechina was with them. Nemar, like it says in Yirmiyahu, Navi says, V'samti kisti ba'elam, and I placed my throne in Elam. V'avadati misham melech v'sarim, and I made lost over there kings and officers. Most probably hinting at Haman being destroyed over there, and earlier kings of Persia that Hashem manipulated, they should die, and Achashverosh should take over, etc., etc. Galula Edom, they went into exile into Edom, which is considered the present Galus, is considered descendant of Edom. Rome is considered Edom. The Shechina was with them. Remember, as it says in Yeshaya, Edom. This one is coming from Edom. It's referred, Miza Bam Edom. Who is this coming from Edom? Meaning Hashem, it's referring to Hashem. That he is coming, his garments are dirtied from being over there in Botzra, I guess the city in Edom, maybe a capital city in Edom. And he was dirtied, it says over there, from fighting the battles for the Yidden in Edom. And that is all sukkim that indicate that Hashem was in Galus, in all these different Galus, and wherever he went to Galus. This, by the way, this is the source for the famous Maimer Chazal that we always say, Galu in Shechina Imayim. Then the Medrash goes on. It's not just that we went to exile, the Shechina is with us, but also when we return. When they return, the Shechina is with them as well. As it says in yesterday's Parsha, V'Shav Hashem Elokecha shvuscha v'rechamecha, that Hashem will return with your captives, and he will have compassion upon you. V'heishiv loinam ela V'Shav Hashem Elokecha. Rashi says it's also Chumash. It doesn't say he will return others. That's what the meaning of v'heishiv would mean. If I return others, then it would say v'heishiv. But since it says v'shav, that means he himself returned. That Hashem himself is the one that's returning from Bavel, returning from Galus. But it says also, Shirashirim, Asi, Milavonain, Kala, I've come from Levonain, my bride, Asi, Milavonain, Tavai, Toshav, Marisha Mana, that you will come, you will return from the head of the most faithful place, Merosh Snir v'Chermoin, from the heads of these mountains called Snir and Chermoin, Oines Aroyes, Umahare Nemarim, from the places where the lions dwell and where the leopards dwell and so on. And it's talking about that, or maybe it's Iti Milvan Kala, that is coming with me. Rebbe Aimer, after Reb Nosson says what he says, so Rebbe gives an analogy for this. Marshal and Ma'adav Daimon, this is analogous to, what is this being analogous to? L'melech she'amar la'avdei, the king that told his servant, Im tevakshuni, if you will search for me, if you're looking to find me, you know where to find me. Where do you find me? You find me by my children. Hareini eitzel b'ni, I am by my children. Calls man shatam vaksheni, whenever you search for me, so then you should know that I'm to be found by my children. One second, let me check up the pasuk over here from Shir Hashirim. It says over here, one second, in Kapitel Daled, pasuk Ches, Iti, I'm sorry, it wasn't Asi, Iti Milavonin Kala. With me from Levanon, my bride, Iti Milavonin Tavai, that with me from Levanon you will come to Shuri Merosh Amona, that you will look from the peak of the mountain of Amona. Meaning, all of these ideas that I'm speaking about is that Hashem comes along and is in Galus with the Yidden, and he comes about from all these different places. From Lebanon, he returns from these mountains of Snir and Chermoin and so on. So again, we see in this pasuk that Hashem will return from these places. Back to what the Rebbe was saying, this is analogous, Mashlama Davar Doimer, L'melech she'amar la'avdei, to a king that said to his servant, Im tevakshuni hareini etzel bani, like I said before, if you will search for me, I'm by my son, or my child, Kol zman shatam vaksheni hareini etzel bani. Whenever you search for me, I am by my son. V'chein hu omer, and so it says, Chumash Vayikra, Hashoichen itam b'toich tumoisa, and the one that dwells with them amongst and when they are in the state of impurity. It also says in Parshas Emer, Chumash Vayikra, B'tamam es mishkani asher b'soicham, when they make impure my dwelling place that is amongst them. In other words, so the impurity is there, and Hashem is there. Where the Yidden are, he doesn't care about their impurity. He says, it also says prior to that Yidden have to keep their inhabited places in a pure state, because I am dwelling amongst them. And he says over here, do not make impure, do not defile the land that you are settled in it. That I am dwelling amongst it. Because I, Hashem, am dwelling amongst the Bnei Yisrael. So Rebbe re-emphasized this concept that Hashem is with the Yidden regardless of their state of Tumah. That is the Medrash called the Sifri. Now we're going to get to the Rebbe's commentary on this Medrash. In the movement, the Rebbe says, seemingly it's not understood. What is Rebbe adding to the words of Rabbi Nosson? The Yidden are beloved. Wherever they went into exile, the Shekhinah is with them. When they return, the Shekhinah is with them. Also from these words that Rabbi Nosson said, originally it's understood that Hashem is always with the Yidden everywhere. So what does the Rebbe come to add to the words of Rabbi Nosson by adding all these psukim that speak about Hashoichen itam b'toich tumoisam, the one that dwells with them amongst their impure places? Seemingly, there's nothing new, nothing conceptually new over here. Just he's bringing more psukim. and everything is exact in Torah, and there's nothing that's extra. And if Rebbe is adding additional sukkim and seemingly additional words over here that Rabbi Nosson didn't say, obviously Rebbe is trying to add another point and another nuance to this topic that was not in what Rabbi Nosson said. The Rebbe goes on to say, the difference between these two opinions between Rabbi Nosson and Rebbe. Rabbi Nosson Omer Chavivim Yisrael, that the Yidden are beloved. Wherever they went into exile, the Shekhinah is with them. Meaning, Rabbi Nosson medaber ala neshama shel Yehudi kefi shehikshura le'inyan shubedugmas regesh hachaviv. It's speaking about a Jewish soul, the way it's connected to an idea that can be similar to a feeling of being beloved. How human beings would use the term beloved. We're not referring to the essence of the soul, but a feeling and revelation, and something that's visible in a revealed way. Yidden are beloved. Beloved means you see a distinction. And this one is beloved. In this, they are distinct and different than all the nations of the world. When we talk about the Neshama, over there we're talking about that wherever they are, the Shekhinah went into exile with them. Since the Neshama on its own is a part of Hashem above, in a revealed way, it's sufficient that the Shekhinah is with them, so that the Galus should not affect. So essentially, what the Rebbe is saying is that Rabbi Nosson is referring to Hashem's connection with the Neshama. And because of Hashem's connection with the Neshama, that is what is the power that allows them to overcome the Galus, that the Galus should not disturb them. Because we're talking about the Yidden's chavivus. Chavivus, love and an open feeling of connection. That's something in the Neshama of a Yid, because the Neshama of a Yid is distinct totally from the Neshama of a Goy. So therefore, over there's a Chaviv. Al Kach Moisif Rebbe, to this Rebbe adds, how this matter of Hashem's presence with us is not just from the perspective of our Neshama. Hashem is close to us because of our Neshama, but also from the perspective of the body. Who maybe is a marshal, therefore he brings the metaphor, the melech she'amar la'avdei, to a king that told his servant, Im tavakshuni, if you will search me out, hareini eitzel bonai, so then I'm by my children. Calls man shatam avaksheni, anytime that you search for me, hareini eitzel bonai, so then I am by my son, my children, or my sons, or my son, or my child. So he says, that I dwell with them in their tumah, in their state of defilement. Here it's not speaking about something that's connected with the idea of being favored. It's something that's a feeling and a revealed thing. Ella im inyan atzmi. Here we're talking about a core, essential connection. It's not about that he's special. Chaviva means they are special. Here it's not about them being special because of their level or so on, but rather it's an essential bond. The dugmas hashayches shalav ben, similar to the connection of a child and his parent, which is a kosher in guf that's connected with the body. That in the body there is the connection of Atzmusi Yisbarach Kanal, like it speaks about earlier in that Sicha that it's quoting from. Let's see for a second the footnote. 1 minute. Actually, we'll leave the footnote off, but it gets a little bit complex. It has to do with that parsha that it's talking about a different part. Anyway, they continued. Therefore, he emphasizes Shazel calls man shatim baksheni. Anytime that you're searching for me. Since it's connected with his essence, it's not shaykh to it any type of differentiation and any type of change, because we're talking about Hashem's essence, and Hashem's essence is unchanging, so therefore there's no change whatsoever. And the Rebbe in footnote 5 emphasizes, even though Rav Nosson also says, B'chol makom shegolu, every place they went into exile, still in all, it's not as powerful as saying kol zman. It means every time there's no difference whatsoever. It's not just a place. In the place, there could be different situations and so on and so forth. The fact that it talks about every time, there's no time that Hashem doesn't have a connection with the Yid. Beis, who maybe is a pasuk, while there's a sharab psukim hashoichin itom b'toich t'moisam. Rabbi brings the pasuk, and similar to that, the rest of the psukim that Rabbi brings, the one that dwells within them when they are in their state of defilement, impurity. This idea of pulling something defiled and impure is only applicable when you're talking about the body. But when you're talking about the Neshama, the term impurity doesn't apply. In your now on the matters of Neshama, because the Chazal say even the words of Torah are not susceptible to Tumah. So if words of Torah are not susceptible to Tumah, surely the Neshama is not susceptible to Tumah. So the same thing over here in the body, it's also that type of this type of place where Tumah applies. Tumah is possible. Matters of the body, Tumah is possible, and still in all Hashem is there. I want to connect it with a very Geshmak Sicha that Rebbe speaks about the difference in Parshas Vayelech and Parshas Nitzavim. Also, he connects it with this difference between the Neshama and the Guf. The Rebbe says, in a year like this, where we read Parshas Vayelech and Parshas Nitzavim separately, so we read Parshas Nitzavim before Rosh Hashanah, and we read Parshas Vayelech before Yom Kippur. Shabbos before Yom Kippur is Parshas Vayelech. Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah is Parshas Nitzavim. Both in Parshas Nitzavim and Vayelech, it speaks about the unity of the Jewish people. Parshas Nitzavim, as we all have heard many times and learned many times about this, Atem Nitzavim Hayoim Kulchem Lifnei Hashem Elokecha Rashechem Shiftechem. You are standing all today before Hashem, your God, from your heads of tribes until your water carriers and your wood choppers, etc. Parshas Vayelech also speaks about Vayelech Moshe. Moshe went and he spoke all these matters to the Bnei Yisrael, it says over there. Then it has also the mitzvah of Hakel, of collecting all Klal Yisrael together to listen to the king read from the Sefer Torah, and so on and so forth. But there's a difference between them. And that difference is also reflected in the unity of Yidden and Rosh Hashanah, and the unity of the Yidden and Yom Kippur. Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem is talking about the unity from the perspective of the Neshama. That Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem Lefnei Hashem Elokecha. We're talking here about the Neshama is before Hashem, your God. It's the level of the Neshama, the way it's raised up upon high. The same thing on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, the unity is all in the spiritual sense. All of our Neshamas get together and make Hashem as king, Bisasif Rosh Yachad Shifti Yisrael, that Yahi B'Shuran Melech, when is Hashem a king over Yeshurun, over the Yidden? When all the heads of the Yidden and all the Shifti Yisrael gather together and they make him, incarnate him as a king. But guess what? We don't mention on Rosh Hashanah. We don't mention on Rosh Hashanah Al Chet. We don't say Al Chet on Rosh Hashanah. We don't mention even any mention of Chet. Even Avinu Malkeinu Chotam L'Fnech that we say in the rest of Aseres Metshuva, we don't say on Rosh Hashanah. We skip that one. Avinu Malkeinu Chotam L'Fnech. We don't mention sin. Why? Because we're talking here totally about the soul. and the soul's unity. And there's no sins over there. And even the part of Rosh Hashanah that we celebrate with our bodies, over there, it's not a matter of unity, the Rebbe said. We celebrate Rosh Hashanah with eating and drinking and so on. But over there, eating and drinking, everybody is distinct. Everybody is different. We are not joined together in our eating and drinking. Our tastes are different. What and how we eat is different, and so on and so forth. Now let's jump over to Parshas Vayelech. Parshas Vayelech it says Vayelech Moshe Vayidam. Says Moshe went. Moshe came down to the level of the Yidden. It's not talking about Atam Mitzvah Mayom Kulchem Lefnei Hashem Elokecha. That's the way the Neshama is standing before Hashem. It's the way Moshe brings down this unity to the Yidden down here below. And the same thing is the Hakel Anoshim Atap down here below in the physical world, that the physical bodies of the Yidden are gathering together. And the same thing on Yom Kippur, we say Al Chet, meaning because on Yom Kippur we are cognizant and aware of the body. And the bodies, there's possibility to be sins. And our unity isn't bodily things, because we are all together abstaining from the level of the bodily wants, and that's the same. It doesn't make a difference. A bar mitzvah kid abstaining or an 80-year-old abstaining. We are all abstaining equally. So in the body, we're all the same. And that's why we say al-chet, dealing with matters of the body. This is the similar, that's why Parshas Vayelech is read before Yom Kippur, because the unity is a unity having to do with the body as well. So this is similar to what he's saying over here, the difference between Rebbe Nosson and Rebbe. That Rebbe Nosson is only talking about Hashem's presence together with the Yidden because of their Neshama. And Rebbe is talking about the presence of the Eibishter having to do with the Yidden, with their body. And so too, the difference in Parshas Nitzavim and Parshas Vayelech is both of them are about unity. The Rebbe says in the Sicha over there that really Nitzavim Vayelech is really one parsha, but it's divided into two. But there's often we read, there's a few times during the year that we could combine parshas. But all other combination of parshas, it's really two separate parshas are being combined. Matas Maseh, Chukas Bolok, etc., etc. These are two parshas essentially, but we join them. Nitzavim Vayelech, Rab Sadia Goyen says, is really one parsha that's divided, which means that essentially Nitzavim Vayelech have the same thing. They're unity. And that unity theme is there throughout Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Aseret Mitzvah. It's all about unity. It's all about oneness. And that oneness and unity is what's responsible for bringing the Ksiv V'Chsima Tova. And that unity and oneness is responsible for bringing the Geula. But then we divide it and see the two halves of the unity. There's the unity of Rosh Hashanah, which has to do with the Neshama, the way it's before Hashem. And there's the unity of Yom Kippur, which has to do with the unity of the body, that which we have down here, the final unity of the whole Klal Yisrael with our bodies, and the physical Eretz Yisrael with the coming of Mashiach immediately.